We have three statements which I would like you to comment on. And the first one is for you, Eveline, because the question is, which market is bigger? The European market, or the US market? And you can answer the question as well through Twitter if you're joining us online. But I would like to ask you, before you give your answer, what is the general opinion about this question? What is the general idea of the size of the market of Europe?
Well, most Canadian companies, they tend to start looking at the US once they think about internationalizing. And of course it makes sense because it's quite close by, so it looks like it's an easy market. It's easy to gain a market share and to serve the market from Canada into the US. However, it might be a surprise, but if you look at the numbers, Europe is actually a far much bigger market than the US.
And what numbers are you referring to?
Well, Europe has a population of 503 million customers, or potential customers, and the US has a potential of only 313 million people. And not only that, it's also interesting to remark that Europe has a sustainable buying power of 708 million. And it's actually also a sophisticated market. It's the second most research and development economy after the US. And it offers a close proximity to countries like the CIS countries, Russia, Turkey, the Middle East, all upcoming countries. So it's a very interesting location to focus on as a Canadian company.
Okay, so the right answer is?
Is Europe.
Is Europe. Okay, wow, that's amazing. Thank you. Then the second question is for Diederik. Where is the largest of the European economy situated? And yeah, you can answer it.
We thought, with our team here of experts, we thought we flipped to you, we showed to you the so-called blue banana concept. And
yes, sorry, the what?
The blue banana.
Aha, all right.
What we refer to is a region in Europe that actually looks economically looks very much like the Quebec City, Windsor, Ontario corridor in Canada. So we're talking about a very densely populated, highly industrialized area in Europe, Western Europe. Pretty much when you look at the slide in front of you on the screen, it basically starts in the London area and will sweep through the Benelux region, hitting cities like Antwerp, Rotterdam, The Hague, Amsterdam, where we are at right now. Further down into the Ruhrgebiet, as we say, North Rhine-Westphalen area, which is still, of course, a heavy economic heart of Germany, and continuing into Munich area, BMW, as you all know, continuing down towards Milan area. That region is, for Europe, is a so-called blue banana, has 110 million consumers, highly affluent consumers, mind you. And at the very heart, as you can see in the slide, you see the Euro Delta, which is the Benelux area, roughly 35 million consumers. And that really is a phenomenal market for you in Canada to focus on. And of course, the region that I'm based in, the Benelux area, is one phenomenal bridgehead, as we like to call it, to enter the European market. But we'll talk about that later.
Thank you, Diederik. I was wondering, what about Scandinavia? Is that part of the blue banana, or is it an apple, or what's that? That's not included, is it?
There's definitely there's been some criticism on the blue banana concept, and you're right. I mean, there are regions such as the the Mediterranean zone, which is I think called the golden banana or something similar like that. Quite similar economic figures, but you look at the so-called blue banana zone, then you're talking about a very much stronger economic part of Europe.
So if I might comment on
Sure.
that. The blue banana actually focuses on where the main economic activities are within Europe. So although there are other interesting places or interesting regions within Europe, as you might have heard, Eastern Europe is an upcoming region, and Scandinavia is definitely also an interesting region. However, there is still not the strongest economic activity based there. So that's
Clear.
what the blue banana is focuses
Stands for.
on. Yeah, stands for.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then I have a statement for you, because I'm curious how many different currencies does Europe have?
Many people would think Europe has one currency being the euro. There's a lot of publicity about the euro these days and also the past year. So the euro is, let's say, the currency of the European Union. However, the euro is only used in 17 of the 27 European countries. So we have 10 European member states having their own currency. Think about the UK, think about the Czech Republic, and 8 more European countries. There will be a 28th European member states in the summer that will be in Croatia, also having its own currency. So when doing business in Europe, of course the euro is the most important currency, but also many other currencies to think of. Maybe that's also a kind of bridge to other topics we will address today. From customs and also from other perspectives, the European Union is one territory, one country you can think of as like the US. But we still have a lot of member states, 27 in total at this moment, and they all have national legislation. So that applies to the currency, it applies to, for example, certain labeling requirements, what to put on the labels, and what kind of language can be used. All kind of other rules are still national, are still ruled by the countries. So it's important. Europe is one territory. It's a very interesting business environment, but still you have to think about the rules that apply in various countries.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just looking at Gerrit. Is everything clear for everybody? Is the volume okay? Okay, well, great. Then we just continue here with the next question, which is, what are the opportunities for growth while thinking of setting up a business in Europe? What kind of issues do you have to consider? Well, what kind of answers do you have for people joining with this question? Shall I start?
Well, I think we just shown already with the figures that there is a lot of potential within Europe, and both on the consumer-based side as well as on the buying power side. However, as Erik also already mentioned, there are also some challenges to overcome once stepping into Europe. And I do believe that in order to step into Europe on the right way, you need a proper roadmap. First of all, you need to understand what the market is. Where is your market? What's your market size? How does the structure of your market look like? And of course, taken into account also all the differences per country, per culture, the differences of regulations, as Erik mentioned. But it's important to first obtain information on your personal opportunities within Europe.
Okay, and where would you get this information? How would you do this research? What are the sources where people can find information? Is that something you could provide?
We certainly, in Bill Pound's office, we have 6.5, I'm looking at Bill, 6.5, 7 people, and actually 3 interns with a a graduate education level that are constantly, like daily, working on market intelligence for Canadian SMEs and multinationals.
Okay, and how can
We can certainly help.
How can companies get this information? Is it online, or do you need to contact the embassy?
It's quite often the type of market intelligence that is for a niche market. We do have significant databases that we delve into. Quite often for an SME, you have to look further than just the typical market report that is found on many of the websites.
Okay.
But we can certainly help, and we do help, I would say about a good 300 clients in this way each year.
Thank you very much. Besides market research, there must be different things where companies have to think about regarding opportunities for growth in Europe. Erik.
One topic that is pretty important, I think, and we discussed it also before this seminar with Eveline and Diederik, that it's probably much easier to do business in Europe when you have products in stock in the European Union, or when you have an office or capabilities within the European Union. So making sales from Canada to European customers is pretty complicated, especially when customers have to wait for the products to arrive. If you first have to ship them from Canada after a consumer making an order. So what we believe is important to look for a strategy and think about a strategy that makes the Canadian company having the lead in the European Union. So not only making sales from Canada to distributors and stay away from the European market yourself, but enter the European market, have stock in a location, in central location, preferably in the European Union, and ship and sell from that stock. Had to really have a centralized strategy for the European market.
Yes, I would like to add to that there is a need for a differentiated European market strategy. And as Erik already mentioned, you really need to look at how to design your supply chain. However, logistics is not a business driver, it's purely a business enabler. So if you look at the roadmap, you first start with obtaining local market expertise and also obtaining expertise on the regulatory environment. And after setting up a clear business strategy, you need to look at how to fill in this business strategy and how to reach out for the local market.
Okay. I think we have a question. Yeah.
Can I the mic, otherwise you get away. So during these first introductions, we got our first questions coming in. Thank you very much, online viewers. Let me just throw them at the table and you tell me which one of you wants to pick it up. The first one is, are there any dollar figures in terms of import to the European Union for food products from Canada? Anyone who can scoop that up? Or a source where they could find that?
The central source for the European Union, let me put it this way. We have about 12 dedicated trade commissioners in European Union that are focused and dedicated to the agri-food market in Europe. So they could definitely be of help. I'll be glad to take on your question and maybe get back to you. Send me an email. You see me on the website where you registered. 2.5 billion, I think, is the current agri-food exports to Europe. 600 million in seafood, and that's growing rapidly. I could go into detail, but maybe that's not the good time right now. But please do send me an email.
Okay. Any of you wants to comment on this question? Or are we going to the next?
Let me quickly take the other one off. I think, Erik, I replied that the next question would be covered by you, but just to make sure, on the logistics side, can someone explain how the VAT deferment works? I think you're going into that later on, right? Exactly. And then the third question that came in is, how are the tariffs and duties for processed food products in the European Union?
Yeah,
is that one for you? Yeah.
Yeah, that's also in general the EU custom duties on processed food are pretty high, and that's because we also have quite some industry in the European Union. But that's a very general statement. It's not the case for all the products. I will come to that later in the presentation about custom duties. And another factor is then also the value on which the duties are calculated, because it's duties times value in order to calculate duty burden. But I will get to that later on in the presentation.
Okay. Is there any other comment you want to share on the opportunities for growth for this moment before we start doing the lectures on specific logistics and tax issues?
Maybe one remark. It's incredibly difficult to do everything out of Canada or as a Canadian company to enter the European market without any support. So it's very, very important to look for the right partners. And I'm especially thinking about logistic service providers for the supply chain, but also customs brokers, companies who can take care of tax compliance, VAT compliance, who can provide some input on for example, labeling. There are a lot of consultants and a lot of experts, maybe also distributors in the European Union who have the expertise. So there is a lot of knowledge, and I'm sure that a lot of companies like customs brokers, like logistic service providers, want to provide that input to potential Canadian customers.
Okay, thank you very much.